Hey all, here are OS Reviews. Today we're taking a closer look at the Buttons Air X. These are TWS wireless buds with active noise cancellation, and the company Buttons is actually co-founded by Will.i.am from the Black Eyed Peas. This is going for more of a design-focused crowd, as the name implies, to look like buttons when you're wearing them. Components are pretty high-end, including a quad-core chip just for the active noise cancellation, reducing up to 35 decibels of noise, and it is using a Qualcomm chipset, so it supports audio codecs like aptX, SBC, and AAC. They come with 10mm Biofiber drivers, and also in terms of battery life, they claim to last up to 10 hours on a single charge. It's a little closer to 8 hours if you have active noise cancellation turned on, and then with the battery case, you can get upwards of 30 hours when on the road. They are going to be IPX4 rated, so you can use them when going to the gym, when going out and getting a little bit of rain on them, and they should still survive. This is not really a budget-conscious model like some of the other pairs that we've been seeing lately. It's more of a competitor to, say, the AirPod Pros, as well as, say, Bose, Sony, and Sennheiser, so the price point is also going to be around that same range. In terms of the packaging, it has this very shiny sleeve, and inside of it we have a box that has the shape of the TWS buds right on top there, and it opens up like a book. Inside here you now see the buttons on top, which we'll take a closer look at in a moment. Under this little flap, we have the accessories, which we can lift up to see is using a standard USB Type-C and also a few selections of silicone tips to get a more comfortable fit. Finally, we've got a quick user manual that tells you how to go through and access the various modes in different languages. Sliding off this plastic wrap, we can see that the battery case shape, again, is very unusual, reminds you of, again, maybe a button. It's constructed out of a polycarbonate plastic, but has kind of a coarse texture to it and feels pretty solid. On the back here, we have the Type-C port for charging and then some branding information, and that's pretty much it. Doesn't attract too much fingerprints. As far as the size is concerned, here it is next to, say, the standard AirPods. You can see that the buttons will be a little bit thicker than that, but still is, I would say, relatively easy to put into a pocket. Here it is next to Redmi's AirDots, a little bit closer. And obviously it's going to be much smaller than, say, the Powerbeat Pros, which you can see by contrast are still gigantic. There's also a small LED notification light for the battery and charging. The hinge opens up very well, and inside here we have just the buttons themselves, which matches the shape as the outer shell of the battery case and having this very distinctive look, a little reminiscent of the Surface Buds from Microsoft as you're wearing it. So here's an image here with Will.i.am, of course, wearing these, and you get the idea. They are a little bit on the large side. Otherwise, these are magnetic, so they're attached into the battery case pretty well, and when you remove them, they will instantly begin pairing with your device. They're still relatively lightweight because of the plastic construction, and then the surface here is touch sensitive. And otherwise, on the sides here, we have some of the microphones. There's also a bit of branding that says tech should have soul, and this one says the tech don't sweat. So slightly different slogans going on. Turning them over, you can also see the presence of a infrared sensor or a proximity sensor. This is basically the wearing detection. Again, very similar to AirPods. They can know if you're actually wearing them or not, and when you remove them from your ears, the music will automatically pause. When you put them back in, it will automatically resume playing. So here's a quick size comparison with the regular AirPods, and you can get the idea there. Overall weight though, adding in the stem of the AirPods is about the same. And here it is next to something like Crazy Baby's Air Nanos, which are going to be a little more compact from the front. It's definitely more easy to notice and turn a few heads. As far as the controls are concerned, you can also adjust the volume directly on them just by long holding the left or the right sides to raise it higher or lower. And then if you tap once on the left side, it's actually how you turn on ANC, tap on it again to go into the ambient transparency mode, and once again to be in the normal music listening mode. If you tap once on the right bud, it will actually help you play and pause your music. So it's good to see that you have basically all the controls you need, including volume, which I always like to see, integrated into this touchpad, which did feel pretty responsive in my testing earlier, didn't require too much pressure to activate. Moving into audio quality, it's mostly positive in terms of having a very clean sound. If you pause the music, turn the volume down, there's no noise or distortion, no hiss or hum in the background, so it's very clean, and the latency is also very good. So you can very quickly skip a track. You can scrub between parts of a video that you're watching on YouTube, and the audio and the video are synced together really well. In terms of the sound signature, I would say it's very well balanced. So the bass, although present if you're listening to a drum beat, isn't super pronounced. It's not the most bass heavy pair of buds I've ever tried. So if you are a bass head, for instance, you may have to play around with your own EQ settings to get the most out of it. But by default, I would say it doesn't overshadow the mids or trebles. In particular, the mids probably are the most pronounced, so you can listen to instrumentals and vocals. It all sounds very pleasant, and this is definitely a very comfortable pair of buds, so regardless of almost any genre you're listening to, whether it's pop music, EDM, rock music, or just watching a video, it feels like something that's smooth and you can continue listening for a few hours without really much fatigue. When it comes to the active noise cancellation, I would say it's effective. Very similar to the AirPod Pros, I wouldn't say they're necessarily leading the industry compared to, say, Bose's or Sony's, which tend to, in my perspective, also cancel out some of the higher frequency noises. On these, it makes a difference if you are listening to lower frequency sounds like the engines of a car, or if you have a fan on the computer that's turned on, it represses those segments pretty well, but for humans' voices, won't really get canceled out. The ambient mode, by contrast, I think works a little bit better. It does amplify the sound around you using the microphones pretty well, so I was able to have a conversation, again, comfortably without removing these and still hearing my own voice as well as the people's voices more loudly. So that's more or less it for our hands-on review of the Buttons Air X TWS wireless buds, which have active noise cancellation and overall really stylish and different look from virtually any pair you'll find. It's really going after a design-centric crowd, something that will definitely set you apart. I think it works nicely in terms of the overall sound being clean and well balanced for most genres. If you like the design, overall I would say it offers decent enough sound to back it up, as well as good enough performance to get you by, and overall again serves as a stylish alternative to some of the other brands that are a bit more well known on the market. If you're interested, you can check out more details in the links down below, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the Buttons Air X TWS wireless buds.